Chapter 19. I Shall Go Mad. The sound slumber into which Robert had fallen was broken by the sweetest strains of music. He sat up on his couch and rubbed his eyes, trying to arouse himself. He was bewildered, yet enchanted, for the strains continued, now bursting forth into joyous melody, then dying away into the softest cadences, and finally sweeping on into intense passion and sadness. They seemed to come from behind his bed, and he vowed to himself that mortal ear never before heard such exquisite music. It sounded like a voice accompanied by a harp, and the tones so clear, so sweet, were like the chiming of delicate silver bells. He examined the tapestry hangings, and found a place where they could be parted. He pulled aside the heavy folds, and saw a ponderous block of stone upon hinges, and swung open a foot or so into his chamber. Determined to learn all he could of this strange underground castle, and hoping this might be some secret passage, which would lead him to liberty, he swung the block still farther back, and sweeping the heavy curtain aside, he beheld a fairy bower of beauty and elegance. The room was about the size of the one assigned to him, but hung with elegant white velvet, with gilt and purple trimmings. The carpet, also of white velvet, was strewn with great purple pansies, so perfect with their golden centers, and in their royal beauty, that Robert scarcely dared to step lest he should crush out their brilliant hues. The furniture, of purple and white, and framed in gilt, was of the most exquisite and graceful pattern. Lovely paintings and statues adorned the walls and niches of the room, and upon a table of some foreign wood inlaid with pearl, were scattered richly bound books, music, and all the delicate little trifles which one so likes to see in a lady's boudoir. Over this table, and perched daintily upon one foot in his fancy cage, was a canary of purest gold, ever and anon twittering and chirping in echo to the song of his fair mistress. For several moments Robert scarcely dared to breathe, lest the lovely scene should melt away before his vision, and he awake and find it all a dream. He stood transfixed and amazed. Every step he took in this strange smuggler's fortress, he discovered new beauties and fresh mysteries. Upon a divan, dressed in spotless white, sat a golden-haired maiden, lightly fingering a magnificent harp, and pouring forth her soul in song. Her face was fair and pure as a lily, and round, sweet, and almost babyish in its contour. Her heavily fringed lids drooped over a pair of purple-blue eyes, and almost lay upon her delicately tinted cheeks, while occasionally a bright drop left their wondrous depths and rolled like a sparkling dewdrop down upon the purple pansies at her feet. All at once her song ceased, and with a deep sigh the bright beauty bowed her lovely head and rested it against the harp before her. Almost involuntarily, the sigh was echoed from our hero's breast, and the spell was broken. The young girl started violently, and rising, a low, frightened cry broke from her ripe lips as her glance rested upon Robert. He recognized her at once. She was the same beautiful maiden whom he had seen 115 the previous evening, and who had entertained him with her music while he was eating his supper. He saw that she was startled by his presence, and raising his hand with a reassuring gesture, he said, respectfully, "I pray you, fair lady, do not be alarmed. I mean you no harm. Some kind fate, or providence, has opened a secret passage between your room and mine, and impelled partly by curiosity, partly by your beautiful song, I ventured to seek its source. Is my apology accepted?" She raised her liquid orbs to his, while a bright blush suffused her face, and bowed her graceful little head in token of assent, but spoke no word in reply. "I am a captive," Robert went on to explain, "put here by some bitter enemy, and I must needs believe you are in a like situation, for no one so fair and lovely would voluntarily remain in these vaults, gloomy, despite their oriental magnificence. I am a prisoner, and yet I am not a prisoner. There are circumstances which would compel me to remain here were every secret door and passage thrown open to give me liberty," replied the lovely being, in tones so sweet, yet so sad, that the tears involuntarily started to our hero's eyes. "Can such a thing be possible?" he asked in surprise. "Yes, for I have no other home in all the wide, wide world, and while I mourn, I am still glad, for it is in my power to protect and minister to others, who, like yourself, are held in captivity here. Will you forgive my curiosity, and explain yourself more fully? Or do I intrude? If so, I will retire at once." Robert's eyes pleaded hard to be allowed to remain, though he made a motion as if about to retreat. "Nay, be seated," the girl replied, waving him to a seat, and at the same time sinking back upon the divan from which she had risen. Robert took the seat indicated, and anxiously waited for his fair hostess to resume the conversation. At length she said, with a strain of sympathy in her sweet voice,